Hello there and welcome to today's Pleasure Beach Experience video. I'm Scott and this is the first time I've done a chatty video like this for ages. It feels like a long time ago since we did anything like this. The last chatty video on the channel was me and Mark talking about if we own Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Well, today it's just me and I'm talking about my roller coaster count. Now before I get into it, there's many different perceptions on how to keep a roller coaster count, and it is something that only sad roller coaster enthusiasts like me do, especially when you've got the big spreadsheet like I've got to keep track of it all. But it's a good thing to do, really. It's a nice way to keep track of what coasters you've been on, what coasters you might want to do in the future, and if you are a little bit competitive like me, you like to try and keep ahead of your friends, which I'm not doing a very good job of because I'm behind Mark's coaster count whereas I'm well ahead of Mike's, and I won't talk about Becca's because it's a bit of a sore subject, because Becca got me into doing the coaster counting thing when we got together, because before we were together I never really bothered with it, and then Becca was like, oh, this was my 100th coaster, this was my 200th coaster, this is how I keep track of it. So I thought, why not? I'll give it a go, and then I kind of got hooked on it, so here we are. But yeah, there's a lot of ways of doing this. For example, there's a couple of apps out there where you can sort of do it as you go. So you might be at, let's say, Blackpool Pleasure Beach, and you might want to count every time you go on each coaster. So you would put one for Big One for the Big Dipper, one for the Revolution. But this is where it becomes complicated and very independent on the person whose count it is. For example, Grand National at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, most people who do coaster counts count it as two roller coasters, on the logic that you get on one side and then you have to get off before you go back round on the other side. Whereas for me, because it's a Mobius loop roller coaster, I only count it as one. But I know that causes so much debate amongst Pleasure Beach fans and roller coaster enthusiasts. I'm always going to keep it as one because I think should just be one coaster. It is a Mobius loop roller coaster. There is an argument that by getting off halfway through, it is half a credit if you don't do both sides. But most people do or have done both sides. So for me, it's one credit. And I am actually lucky enough that at some point I have managed to do the whole Mobius circuit on it without getting out of the train, which has been done on ERTs and whilst doing POVs last year. But not many people get that opportunity, so I do see why people count it as one credit or two credits. I count it as one credit. Most people count it as two. And then, of course, the steeplechase. Well, technically speaking, it's free. There's 3 tracks, and if one of them breaks down, the other 2 can still work. So technically, they're all individual coasters. But on that logic, does that mean Pleasure Beach has got the most coasters in the UK because we're counting steeplechase as 3 and not 1? And then Grand National as 2 and not 1. So does that mean they've got more coasters than everywhere else? It's a tough one. Anyway, my roller coaster count is 305. But that's, like I say, a steeplechase is 1, not 3. Grand National as 1, not 2. So it could be more, but that's how I do it. A lot of people actually, before we do get fully into this, a lot of people actually count each time they go on an individual roller coaster. If you are familiar with Blackpool Pleasure Beach, you may know that there is a guy called Brian who used to work on the Big One and was a member of the Club Pleasure Beach, original Club Pleasure Beach, the 235 Club. He counted every single ride on the Big One that he did. And I believe at one point he was over 10,000. So yeah, that is pure dedication to count every single go on that coaster. Is just crazy. But I know that some people do still do that kind of thing where they only count one particular coaster and how many times they've been on it in a season. And I did do a little bit of that with the Big One originally when I first went on it, because it was a massive weight on my shoulders going on it, and then I sort of kept account of how many times I was going on it, and I got to 1,000 and thought, okay, this is getting silly, I don't need to keep account of this anymore. I wish I had, but I haven't. I stopped at 1,000. That was in 2009. Here we are in 2020. I have no idea how many I've done on that now. So I think that pretty much takes us on from our intro. So like I say, my overall count that I have got it down as is 305. It could be more because there is travelling roller coasters that I have not included. The reason I've not included them is I will only include them if they're on Roller Coaster Database, which is rcdb.com. If you can find them on there, or they're traceable on there, or they're traceable on the internet, let's say, I will add them to the count. If they can't be found, I won't add them to the count, because as an example, you may go on a Revercon spinning coaster in, let's say, the Iron Brew Carnival in Glasgow, and then 4 months later you might go to Kirkcaldy, and that same spinning coaster is there, but because it's in a different environment, it looks like a different coaster, but it is still the same coaster. So I don't count travelling coasters, because otherwise you could end up with the same thing on your count 10 times. And also, as an example, rides get relocated, so I've only got Infusion on mine from when it was at Southport as Traumatizer. I've not added it again as Infusion, because I think that would be defined as cheating, because you would be putting the same coaster on twice. If you are a coaster counter like me, let me know in the comments. Is the Grand National 1 or 2? Is the Steeplechase 1, 2 or 3? Do you count relocated rides again? Do you count rides that have been retracked? As an example, Python at Efteling. I did it originally when it was the Vekoma track the whole way around, and now it's no longer a Vekoma. But I've not counted it again because the layout is exactly the same. It's still the same coaster, to a point. So let's get on to the milestones. Like I say, 305 credits. First ever roller coaster. My mum will laugh at this if she's watching. Was the Nessie roller coaster in Rill. I don't think it's there anymore, but it is on RCDB. But that didn't give me the coaster bug. What gave me the coaster bug was going on the Grand National at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. I remember going on that one summer, and I went on it with a school friend at the time. And all the way to Blackpool in my mum and dad's car, I was trying to egg on this friend of mine, like, we need to go on this roller coaster Grand National. It looks good on Roller Coaster Tycoon. We need to go on it. So I'm there going, actually, do I want to go on it? But yeah, we went on it, and that was it. We were hooked. I was a fan of Blackpool Pleasure Beach anyway, but that moment going on that, it was like, right, I need to do more of this. So then it was roller coaster, and then it was some of the coasters at Towers, some of the coasters at Drayton Manor, and it was just a way of building up between all the coasters and sort of working up towards doing the big one, Oblivion, Nemesis, those kind of coasters. So the 10th coaster I did, I'm so gutted this is not the big one, because the big one was 9th. The 10th roller coaster I did was Spinball Whizzer at Alton Towers. What a first milestone, eh? First coaster Nessie, 10th coaster Spinball Whizzer. At the time it was good. Spinball, it was brand new. It was a good time to do it. I remember queuing 2 hours for it. Yeah, never again. Don't think I've ever queued 2 hours for Spinball since. The 50th coaster credit, I should have done the 25th really, but I can't remember what that is. The 50th coaster credit of mine was Tammy at Port Ventura. These milestones aren't looking very good, are they? The milestones themselves are good, but the actual coaster for the milestone is a little bit dodgy. The 100th coaster was Crush's coaster at Walt Disney's Studios Park in Paris. That is one that I always forget the name of. We didn't actually get all the credits in Paris when we went to Disney. I think if we'd turned up and they'd have actually had all the coasters open in the main park, we'd have probably not been talking about Crush's coaster being my 100th credit, but there we go. 200th credit was Heidi the Ride at Plopsaland. Now that is a good milestone, even though it's not the biggest of coasters. That was a really, really good coaster. That is a great coaster, full of airtime, snappy little turns, transitions. It's only a small footprint, it's only a small coaster. It is a family coaster, but it is excellent. And if you do ever get a chance to go to Plopsaland, which I think they're building a new coaster for 2021, it's well worth a visit. They do have a nice little park there. It gives me Toverland vibes when I went there. It was good. It was really good. But 200th coaster, I thought it was Taron. No, it wasn't. It was Heidi the Ride at Plopsaland, which was about 5 months before we went to Phantasialand. I've not been very good at keeping track of coasters, which is why before I did this video, I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to throw away the spreadsheet that I've got with it, start again, go back on RCDB, retrace my steps back to doing the first coaster and actually work it out properly. 300th coaster. Again, not so long ago. In fact, I'm going to put it on the screen now. This is what I thought was my 300th coaster.
Oh no. Oh no.
Here we go! It's quite chilly and we've not even hit the water yet. Oh heck. Oh no. Oh no. Oh dear, here we go, we're gonna get soaked. No, we're not. I'm alright. I'm alright. I'm alright. Nope. I was wrong. It wasn't that one. By the time I went on that one, we were over 300. Because my 300th coaster was nearly Hyperion, like Mark's was, in the Energylandia vlog. There'll be a card in the top of the screen for that one. It was the Energius, something like that. I can't say that. I'll put it on the screen. Energius roller coaster, which is a Vekoma family roller coaster. So my milestone coasters have been quite tragic, other than Heidi the Ride at Plopsaland. That is pretty disappointing. Maybe need to plan my milestone coasters a little bit better. Maybe need to keep a better eye on my coaster count because, although I suppose, as Mark would say, a cred is a cred. Now, moving on, one thing that I do think about when I look over my coaster count is between the years 2008 and 2012, wasn't very well travelled compared to beforehand and after, because between like 2000 and 2008, I did quite a lot of UK parks, went all over the UK doing different parks, went to Portaventura for the first time and had a keen sort of eye on going to a lot of parks, but mainly did that in the UK. Then between 2008 and 2012, for a variety of reasons, I seemed to go to Pleasure Beach more often than anywhere. Went to Alton Towers a lot more than I would normally, and probably went to Fort Park a lot more than I did anywhere else as well. And those three parks tended to be the only places we went, and Portaventura. It was only after 2012 when I went to Park Warner for the first time, and then started to get in a bit of a keen eye of going, well, actually, we could do this park, we could do that park. But it wasn't really until 2015 when, like I say, I got with Becca in 2015, and straight away we were looking at, right, well, which theme parks can we do that we have never been, because we've never been agreeable on Portaventura. We both like Park Warner, but it was like, well, let's go to somewhere different. And going to Park Asterix and going to the Disney parks was just something that really gave us both the bug to go, right, let's start doing more parks. Let's not just go to Pleasure Beach every week. Let's not just go to Towers every other week. Let's not go to Thorpe all the time. Let's do something different. Let's go to the parks that we've been looking at on YouTube, we've been looking at on RCDB and looking at on Coaster Force going, I really want to go on that park. I really want to go on that coaster. I really want to go there. Rather than doing that, just go for it. And I think that's what I've done ever since 2015, really. And even though in 2015 and 2016 I had quite a lot of health issues, I ended up doing more coasters in those years than I had done in any year previously. And that was just a bug of starting doing the coaster count, and it was like, well, let's do it. Let's do these parks. Let's build up the coaster count. Florida in 2017 gave me the opportunity to equal Becca's count, because when we went on that trip, I think there was only like 2 or 3 new coasters for Becca to add to her count. Whereas for me, it was a whole new world of coasters, so it's like, yes, add those. And then there was Cedar Point, then there was the parks last year in America, there was Energylandia this year, and the count has just gone off the screen until you realise that there is coaster enthusiasts who are younger than me with coaster counts of like 500, 600, 1,000. Imagine having 1,000 coasters and trying to make a top 10 out of it. Yeah, that's not going to happen. And while we're on that subject, I want to say that this video was kind of inspired by Jordan from Cupcake and Coasters, her video about her top 10, 100 weird roller coaster credits. I'll put a card in the top of the screen because I think if you want to laugh, you should have a watch of that. And that is dedicated coaster counting. That is pure dedication of going on just about every Wacky Worm, Big Apple roller coaster in the country to make sure that that count is well topped up and well over 1,000 now. I would imagine that is some craziness right there, but that is dedication to being a roller coaster enthusiast for sure. But I am not that shameless. Mark is. I'm not shameless enough to go, let's go and do an Apple coaster. just for the sake of it, because I remember actually, and I regret it now, because Hyperion would have been my 300th coaster if we'd have done this. When me and Mike went to Clarence Pier, there was a lot of people who commented on Twitter saying, oh, just down the road, there is a brand new Big Apple roller coaster you should go and do. And me and Mike were like, nah. Should have done it, because Hyperion would have been my 300th coaster. There you go. So, most ridden roller coaster manufacturer, if I said that correctly, is Vekoma. Out of the 305 credits I have counted, 46 of those are Vekoma, 33 of them are B&Ms, 26 are Mack rides roller coasters. Fourth place is Intamin with 24. Don't worry, I'm not going to go through them all. Pinfari is in the top 5 with 20 coasters. And we're going to stop at this one because this one is the best of all. Aerodynamics, only 16. That needs to change. That is not enough. Next year, if our America event goes ahead, and I'm saying if, when our America event goes ahead, come on, Scott, positivity. When that event goes ahead next year, there'll be some new Arrow credits, and there'll be some Gravity Group coasters, and there'll be some stuff on there that I haven't got as well. So the road to 400 has truly begun. It would have been a little bit higher than it was, but Movie Park Germany got cancelled a couple of weeks ago, which also meant Phantasialand for Fly got cancelled. Is what it is. Kind of got used to trips being cancelled this year. You just go with the flow. And favourite coaster from each manufacturer. Oh, I was supposed to write this down. Okay, this is going to be off the top of my head. Vekoma, I'm going to go with Lek Coaster at Legendia in Poland. I was going to say it was at Energylandia then. I'm thinking of Formula. That was an excellent roller coaster. Really, really, really good. But Lek Coaster is the best Vekoma coaster anywhere that I have been on. Favourite B&M is a tough one, because there is a lot of good B&M coasters out there for sure. I'm going to move on from B&M. I'll move back to them. Mack, best Mack rides coaster is Helix, without a doubt. Best Intamin, or favourite Intamin, was a tough one. I think Maverick just about takes the biscuit for that one. But Hyperion definitely deserves a mention. That is an epic Intamin. Top Thrill Dragster, that is another excellent Intamin roller coaster. Both Hyperion and Top Thrill Dragster were close to being my favourite Intamin, but you can't beat that second launch on Maverick. It's so good. It is just a little bit better than Taron's second launch, which was also a consideration for best Intamin. But the thing that makes Maverick just so epic is the airtime. The first drop, the airtime is incredible. There's airtime hills it's got are incredible. The inversions are taken at the right speed. It's a great coaster. Get me back on it, please. And of course, I'm not going to name a favourite Pinfari because I don't like them. There is no good thing about Pinfaris. Aerodynamics, favourite coaster is a tie between Magnum XL 200 and Big One. No, it's not a tie. Magnum is the king. That pretty much covers it. I've still not thought about B&M. It's a tough one. I'm going to have to leave it. I'm going to have to park that for now. If I think about it, I'll put it in the comments. But let me know in the comments, what's your favourite Vekoma? What's your favourite B&M? Your favourite Mack? Your favourite Intamin? Your favourite Arrow? Everyone has a favourite Pinfari. Let's hear it. Your favourite Woody? Go on. Chuck them in the comments below. It'd be great to see it. This is better than doing a top 10. Even though I'm waffling now, it's better than doing a top 10. A top 10 is becoming too hard to do. Out of 300 and odd coasters, I can't make a top 10 anyway. It was difficult last year. I think I'm done doing top 10 videos now. But it's good to talk about stuff like this. It's just a little bit different. And I'm going to end it there because I hope it's not been too boring. But we're locked down again. The parks are closed. I don't want to just be putting POV, park footage, POV all winter because it'll just get boring. It'll get boring for everyone watching. It'll get boring for me doing it. And I think that it would just see the end of this channel. I want to do things a little bit differently. I've wanted to do a video talking about my coaster count for a while, but once we were allowed out after the first lockdown, I thought I'll leave it until winter. Because otherwise I'm going to have to change everything and do it all over again once I've been to Energylandia because that trip always looked like it was nailed on to happen and thankfully it did. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. The aim is to hit 400 credits next year. What is your coaster count? Do you keep a coaster count, or do you just count on a particular coaster? Or do you think coaster counting is a load of nonsense? Because there is people who think that, and to be honest, I do a little bit, because it does seem a little bit daft. But I'm a coaster enthusiast. We do these things. We're different. We like to be different. Quick thing before you go. You may see in the background there is like a little Big Dipper thing and little wild mouse framed photo thingy. Well, I'll leave a link in the description, because that is a little side project of Becca's, which I won't say too much about, but if you go on Becca's website, which is linked in the description, you can find out more about what Becca's been doing during lockdown and just creating little bits and bobs for her website, which will soon be on sale. Her website won't be on sale, but the things on her website will be. I don't know if these little cut-out things and that are on there yet, but they will be soon if they're not already. But keep an eye out on her socials as well. I'll link it all in the description. It's worth keeping an eye on, because I am biased, of course. Becca's my wife, I'm going to say this, but they are really good and worth keeping an eye on. That's all from me. Thanks for watching. I hope you've not been too bored, and I'll see you in the next Pleasure Beach Experience video.